NFTs tie into financial freedom and FIRE? Is there a pathway, or is this completely separate from the FIRE movement?
I'm really glad you asked that because it's a very important question. As you know, my heart's really into helping people to find financial freedom, find financial independence. And what's fascinating is that when I share a lot about financial independence and financial freedom, it's a very long-term goal. It's a very long-term journey.
You got to have a lot of patience.
You have to have some of that patience. You have to have that foresight. And I will tell you, unfortunately, the majority of people out there don't necessarily want to see the entire picture. So where NFTs come in, or where other investments come in that can give you an upfront return, I think that's where people get excited. So like anything else, I think it's a vehicle. And right now, I truly believe that there's an asymmetric risk reward, meaning that the amount of money that you can put up into an NFT relative to what you can get on a return right now is kind of out of whack, meaning that like you could put maybe like, let's just say $3,000 in, and it could literally return like $30,000 like overnight. And so again, yes, can you lose money? Absolutely. So I think you have to definitely be careful, but it's really more about the strategy and understanding what the mindset is along the way with any investment. I mean, you could do this with real estate, stocks. If you put all your money and you don't manage your risk, or you don't manage your asset allocation along the way, you set yourself for potential, burnout, or you could potentially just lose everything. But if you're doing it in a way that's diversified, if you're doing it in a way that you're pulling profits off the table, then you can do very well. And it can be a great vehicle and investment to, I think, accelerate that path to financial freedom. With that said, I don't think it takes away from the need to be educated along the way. And so that's what I'm really trying to do with this investment group that I started called NFTs Unlocked, is to not only give people that premise of understanding, okay, here's some strategies that you can use to potentially make a quick buck, and that's great. However, let's also talk about building long-term wealth and how you ultimately take some of that off the table. And you take some of that and you put it into a real estate syndication with Annie, because then guess what? You're diversified. You're creating cash flow on other areas. And then you're not, sticking all of your eggs into one basket.
How does that all play out?
Absolutely. And, I will say this first and foremost, a lot of what we're talking about today, of course, it's not financial advice. And you're right. A lot of this right now is evolving. So in terms of Uncle Sam, you're right. They want their cut, and they're still trying to figure out even how to be able to understand cryptocurrency and how to tax that efficiently and regulate that. And so Biden, just recently released, his executive order for the different organizations like the SEC and the FCC and all these different organizations to figure out, okay, how do we look at cryptocurrency and who should be regulating what? And so now there's these bills getting introduced and people are trying to figure it out. So it is coming. It is a little bit of the Wild West because there's nothing necessarily specifically in place. And in the interim, though, for the most part, they've said, okay, well, NFTs are simply going to be like buying a commodity, essentially. And so because you're buying these NFTs with cryptocurrency, whether it's Ethereum or if you've converted it to gems, you have to kind of take a snapshot of when you're actually buying these things and what the price is of the cryptocurrency at the time. So this gets pretty complex. So what I do is I use a tax software called Coin Tracker. And so they help you to figure out, you can connect all of your different cryptocurrency wallets where you would store your different cryptocurrency or your NFTs. And they'll help you to figure out, okay, at what point did you actually buy this? And what was the price of the cryptocurrency at that point in time? And do you have a taxable event? And then they kind of help you to calculate it. So you do want to be able to keep good records. I think it's prudent. I don't think, right now, because it's so new, they're probably not going after everyone because they don't even know themselves. But for me, I just want to have a best practice regardless, to know with a reasonable degree of certainty, okay, this is generally what's happened. This is the profit and loss in terms of the overall price of the cryptocurrency relative to the NFT.